Welcome back to another episode of Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast. I'm your host, Oswin Alemaker, and I just wanted to tell you about three boys who love to talk about D&D. If you like their style, you should follow them on any podcast service you prefer, and come back every Friday for a new episode. And without any further ado, back to the boys.
Drew, I got sick. And it's...
Oh.
I blame one of my coworkers. I'll put him on blast. His name is Cody Eric.
That's his full name.
And yeah, I'm putting him on blast because he was out for 3 days at work this week. He comes back in, he sits right across from me, and we're buddies. We talk about like Pokemon and stuff. He's really into Pokemon too, so he brings his Switch 2 to work as well. And so we'll both like kind of show each other what's going on in our Pokopia worlds and stuff. Anyways, he comes back yesterday and he's like, dude, I had the flu and I had strep throat back to back. And so that's why I was out all week. And I was like, oh my God, that must have sucked. He was like, dude, it was awful. It was so bad. And I was like, man, that couldn't be me. And then about 2 hours later, I felt a little tingle in my throat and I started feeling really bad. And now I don't know if this is necessarily the same thing because I definitely do not have strep throat because I'm not like coughing or anything too bad. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I have the flu because I haven't run like a fever at all. But I feel like crap. I feel so weak.
Why did you kiss him? I don't understand.
Oh, because we love Pokemon together, you know?
Well, I mean, obviously that makes sense, but it's
would
just
you not?
Inappropriate work. I mean, yeah, but at work? I mean, I'm not asking why you kissed the man, of course. He, it sounds like a Pokemon hunk. But, like, you can't be doing this at work, Seth. I mean, come on.
That's fair. That's fair. So, I was talking to him, though. This is where my first story leads into. I was having a conversation with him yesterday, and I was like, how did you even call out? Because I've never had to do that, and I don't know because we work at a very, very large corporation. I was like, how do you even do a call out? And he was like, oh, I'll send it to you later. Well, the end of the day finally gets there, and we haven't had time to speak to one another again. And so I grab my little notepad, I rip off a sheet, I give him my phone number, and I set it down in front of him. I'm like, yo, just text me later. And he was like, okay, cool. He forgets.
No.
He forgets. So last night about 10:30, I'm in the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet.
Okay.
And my phone begins to ring. Cody, it can't be Cody because he's forgotten the thing. It's been long enough that I'm like, oh, he definitely just forgot that piece of paper that I gave him. That's okay, no worries. But I've been getting a lot of spam calls on my phone recently, and they're all in my area code here. So I've always been like, I'm like, okay, so they know where I'm from. They definitely have my information. And so I've been trying because I know that like me having recently gotten out of the army, there's still some unresolved paperwork and stuff. I'm trying to like make sure that I'm not missing a call from someone that's important.
Yeah.
And so last night I was like, oh, it's 10:30. This is the one I answer. And I'm going to get them. I'm going to find out who these people are, okay? Because they're not going to get me while I'm sick. And so I answer the phone and I'm like, hello? And he goes, yo, is this Seth? And I was like, yeah? And he goes, oh, dude, it's Cody. And
why so aggressive?
I was like, he said it just like that. And I was like, yo, what's up? And he tells me, he was like, dude, I forgot that piece of paper on the desk, but his dad also works at the same company as us. And so his dad has his computer at home. He was able to go in the system because he's a little bit higher up in this company. And he just looked me up and got my phone number for Cody so he could send me the information for how to call out if I'm sick on Monday.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, hopefully you don't have to use it.
I'm really hoping not.
I do have a follow-up question for this situation. You mentioned you were on the toilet.
Yeah.
Right? I think this is an important question. I've thought about it extensively. I've talked to a couple people about this. Do you answer the phone on the toilet? And if the answer is yes, what are the specifics of when do you do it?
I mean, I did answer the phone while on the toilet.
But you normally answer the phone on the toilet?
It depends. If a family member that's like close to me is calling, I will text them and say, hey, I'll call you in 5. If it is my wife, oh yeah, I'll answer it. If it is a random number like that, I was like, this is the time I'm going to go ahead and pick up because I thought it was going to be a spam call. But I actually I have a little thing about this too, because I used to be kind of willy-nilly about it. I didn't care. No one's ever going to know I'm on the toilet, right?
Yeah, who cares?
Except one time I got a phone call in middle school, high school while I was on the toilet. And it's my mother. And I answer it and I'm like, hello? And she's asking me stuff like, hey, can you do this for me at home? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And she goes, are you in the bathroom? And
how did you know?
And of course, me being like a middle schooler or a high schooler, like my face goes red because I'm like, oh, yeah, like, of course I am. And then she was like, yeah, I could tell because it was echoing like really bad. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I think I thought about that even yesterday when I answered the phone. I was like, can Cody tell I'm in the bathroom right now?
So funny. But do you give up the information? So like if Cody asks, hey Seth, are you taking a big old dookie right now? What do you say? Do you say yes?
Oh, what excuse can I come up with?
Are you thinking of excuses?
See, because knowing me, I'm just gonna go, yeah, what's it to you? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course I am. But it would be funny though to try to pull it off and be like, nah, dude, I'm actually in the sound booth right now. I'm recording. Something like that, you know? Like,
it's pretty funny.
I'm in the sound booth. Another good one.
I'm in the Lincoln Tunnel actually. Yeah, it's just a real long tunnel. I'll call you when I get out.
I'm underwater.
Do you hear the bubbles? I'm talking to you through bubbles right now. That's funny. No, I always answer no matter what. If people ask me what I'm doing, it's taking a dookie. I'm dropping one right now, and that's exactly what's happening. If I'm at work, answering the phone call. It don't matter. I've actually done, fun fact, because I was doing some interviews recently.
Yeah.
I actually took a phone interview on the toilet.
Really?
It went well. Yeah, it went well.
Is that the job you accepted?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Imagine you get close with your boss and tell them that years later. Like when you called me and you interviewed me, I was on the toilet, man.
I was dropping one while trying to get one. It's just how it worked. But it went very well, and they didn't say, "Hey, are you doing something here?" And I think maybe in that situation I probably would have lied. Or honestly, that's kind of a power move not to lie. Like, yeah, I'm taking a shit right now. What are you gonna do about it? Hire me.
Yeah.
Like they would have to love the confidence.
I think you could also say you're in like a racquetball gym or something like that. Like you're playing pickleball, and so there's a bad echo.
Throw some grunts in there, like you're actively playing pickleball.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's so funny. We can make it work. There's ways to do it.
Or like, no, I'm just playing D&D with the boys inside of freaking glass dome.
I guess you could play D&D in the bathroom. I don't know why you would, but you could, I suppose.
But
We've done it through text.
Yeah, today to get rid of my sickness, I'm going to be playing it from the bathtub. I'm just going to be sitting in the bathtub for like 4 hours just sweating.
Are you a bathtub guy?
Every now and then. Like, now there was a while when my stress levels were really high, like learning Chinese. I would very frequently, also it was cold in the barracks and in Monterey, so like both of those things together, I would frequently be like, I'm cold and I'm stressed, I'm just gonna go sit in the bathtub. And because I had a bathtub in my barracks room. And so I would do that. But lately, no. I mean, every now and then I'll fill up the tub and sit in there for a little bit, but usually it's only when I'm feeling like weak or yucky or sore.
Weak, yucky, or sore. I don't know. I've tried to take a bath before, just like to relax or like, ease the back or whatever it may be. And I just feel like it doesn't work for me, man. I don't know. I can't get comfy and I feel like it kind of hurts sitting. Maybe I haven't been in the right tub, but I feel like you're kind of like contorting in a weird way. And I don't know. And also I'm kind of a sissy Mary with temperature. So I feel like no matter how hot it is, it's too hot. So, that's just too bad.
It's always too hot when I get in there, but I just fight through it and I sit down.
No.
But the part that bothers me, the worst part about the bath, because I love the heat, is once you warm up, you can't stay there for more than like 15, 20 minutes because now you're sweating profusely.
I'm just not a bath guy. I can't do it. I've tried. I don't want to do it. I'll do it. Maybe honestly, I'll join the military. And then try a barracks bathtub just to give it a try,
Yeah,
I'll discharge it.
Not a lot of barracks rooms have bathtubs. I got lucky with where I was at.
I'll just have to reapply a couple times.
Yeah, or apply. They'll accept you. Doesn't matter.
I'll put it on the application like, look, I'm, military kind of thing, not really for me, but I hear you guys have bathtubs. Is that true? And then they'll accept me into one that has one.
Yeah. No, it'll be
This happens.
it'll be so easy to get in. They're taking everybody. They upped the enlistment age to like 42.
What?
Did you see that?
In the military?
Yeah, the enlistment age to get in, it went from like 34 up to like 42.
What do you
Like
mean
the max age. So like before you couldn't enlist if you were over the age of like 30 something, but because you're gonna the amount of intensity that it puts on your body, like and now they've upped it by like 8 years, I think.
That makes sense. Okay, you said enlist, and to me, enlisting is like, you get out of high school, like, yeah, I'm gonna go enlist now, and so I was taking it more as a min. So like they're not taking anybody till they're like 40 years old. Like, wow, we have this old ass military. Like, what's happening?
It still is crazy to me though that like I couldn't imagine being in your 40s and then being like, I'm gonna start with all these 18-year-olds now.
Oh hell no! Can you imagine trying to compete with them?
Oh no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Anyways, that has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about today. Did you have any other stories before you want to get into the topic?
I have some other things we can mention as we kind of go through. Might just sprinkle it in a little bit.
Okay. So, welcome to Table Talk Friday. Today, we're going to be talking about underutilized skills and skills in general in D&D, because Drew and I were having a little bit of a discussion before the show about how there are just some skills that I'm like, I see it on my character sheet and I'm like, oh, this would be my character, but sometimes I just don't choose them because we don't use them that often. So a thing like intimidation, I could see a character I would have having proficiency in intimidation because I designed them in a way that is very menacing, but I don't choose it because I'm like, well, I'm going to use athletics more. And something like that. Even if it's not even the optimal solution, I'm always going to have an acrobatics or athletics chosen on my character sheet pretty much no matter what. And so it's like it's like these combat ones that like you mainly focus on, and then the other ones are like little sprinkles of happiness in there. Like, but perception, investigation, insight, athletics, acrobatics. And those are the main ones, right? Are there any others that are like, you have to have one of those?
I feel like most people go for a stealth option a lot of the time. I don't think you said stealth.
I didn't say stealth, but the reason I didn't say stealth is because I feel like if you have one person on the party who doesn't have stealth, it doesn't even matter anymore.
It's true, but I feel like there's a prime spot on the party. Like if nobody on the party has stealth, you're going to suffer. It's like, does somebody have, it's going to sound silly, but when you go through party comp, right? It's like, who's going to tank? Who does the damage? Who does healing? I feel like on the same level is who's got stealth. Does somebody have some level of, even like a +5 or something? Something you can utilize here for some sort of stealth, because it's going to come up in every campaign, at least every campaign we've ever seen. In some capacity, there is at least one stealth mission or session.
Yeah. And a lot of times, pass without a trace is what's helpful for that. Like, you get pass without a trace.
The question is, anyone a ranger?
Yeah. Well, or doesn't Druid get it?
I think so, but nobody at our table ever plays Druid.
Yeah. And we'll hopefully have a ranger coming up that will be able to take that spell. But yeah, so those are all like, staples. Those are all the ones that you see most often in the game, but there's a lot of underutilized ones. One that I feel like gets misused often is like a religion. I feel like that doesn't get used like in the way that I think it's designed to be used very often. Maybe not Arcana. We do use Arcana a good bit. And then
Arcana might be one of the most used skills, arguably. On the sheet.
And then our charisma ones are persuasion, deception, and intimidation. Those all they get used, right? Every now and then. But I don't feel like the outcome is ever super meaningful, except for maybe a couple of pinpoint times in the campaigns.
Yeah, but to those pinpointed moments, mentioning like persuasion, I guess specifically, we've had some crazy moments in our campaigns where it's like this is a persuasion skill check, right? Like this is a big, like everybody's gonna be doing this. The one for me, I think one of the most recent ones we've had was not campaign wise, but for the Christmas one off last year, where you had to persuade the Grinch, right, to become good again. For me,
Yes.
that to me was a big moment of being able to persuade.
That was a
him
good
to
use of it.
end the session, right? It was a great use. To your point, yeah, it doesn't use it all the time, but frankly, I think a lot of that is because specifically at our table, if you word it well enough, I just don't see a reason for a check, and maybe that's
Yeah.
our style, right? Maybe other tables do use persuasion more. I don't know.
Yeah. And the time I can think in my DMing career, because we explained last week on the show, I'm very fluid with what I let you guys do. So with how we've played in the past, in Storm King's Thunder, persuasion came up whenever you guys recruited a pack of 6 goblins, right? Like, you had a pack of goblins with you that you enjoyed having around and hanging out with, and that was because Sean's character was a bard who was very, very good at persuasion and the like. Performance, I think, incredibly misused and underutilized.
Yeah.
Because performance doesn't have to just be like, playing music or doing a show. It can also be for like doing a voice or impersonating somebody, something like that.
Yeah.
But
it could be used interchangeably with deception, to be honest, a lot of the time.
Exactly, and that's a big problem I have with some of the skills on the character sheet, because it feels like a lot of times whenever those situations come up, oh, you know what, just roll perception or investigation, whichever one's better for you. Oh, you know what, go ahead and roll either persuasion, deception, or performance, whichever one is better for you. Or like, I think it was in Tasha's where they kind of laid out the option for subbing in skills roll Arcana but with strength because you're so strong that it's magical type deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I find some of the skills weird, because it feels like you can just get your maximum modifier if you finagle and like brain what is it, like mental gymnastics it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's important though. I don't want to like bash on it, because I feel like a lot of the time, if you can justify your character in the right way, you can use that ability, right? And
Right.
maybe this situation doesn't call for that, right? It's like, well, no, you can't perceive this. You can't use perception here because you're within 2 feet of it. Like, you got to feel it up. You got to something, right? Something else has to be played, whether it be a religion check, history check, something like that. But yeah, a lot of them, I think specifically, if I had to really harp on one, I think it's deception and performance that really kills performance. Because the only time you ever say performance is when someone's playing a bard, really, and they want to play a tune. That's it. There is no lying. There is no, make a scene, right? You just don't see performance in any other context.
Right.
It may be arguably like the worst, or I shouldn't say the worst, the least used one. Maybe you can make a case for, I don't know, animal handling. But even so, I would say it's more than performance.
Yeah, animal handling one is another one I have a little bit of a gripe with, because sometimes there will be like an animal or animal-like thing around, and a player will request like, okay, I would like to do this, and a lot of times I'll be like, okay, roll animal handling, but it can also be argued the same for like all the charisma ones, like, oh, well, what if I rolled persuasion because I'm proficient in that or something? And I don't know. I find skills to be very fascinating because they are so fluid. Like, another one that was crazy in our initial Storm King's Thunder campaign was survival. Because survival doesn't come up that often unless you're traveling around a lot, right? And it's gonna come up in campaign 3, I promise.
Oh, okay.
Because of the nature of our setting. So our character, the character who was rolling survival every single night, was not proficient the whole time. We didn't know. We were just like, wait, you're not proficient? And I literally looked over him and said, well, now you are. Bubble it in. Because his character had been doing survival for the whole campaign. And like halfway through, we found out he never had proficiency. He just kept rolling it and doing well.
Yeah, he was always doing well was a thing. To the point, and I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show or if you remember, my character and his character got pretty close. And I wanted to take the skill expert feat?
Yeah.
Because it tied in really well with reliable talent for rogues. So we flavored it so that he taught me.
Yes.
To be proficient in survival. Awesome. He wasn't proficient at the time. Like, wait. So I actually became better than him because I had the proficiency. I think that was when we found out at that time. It blew my mind. But
Yeah.
that was so funny, and he played it off really well. And
Yeah.
cool of you to give it to him afterwards.
And I wanted to bring up all these skills in context for how we can maybe better implement some of them, because there have been times in the games whenever it's been important that you guys have specific skills. You already mentioned persuasion in that one scenario for your one-off that you ran. But there was also a time during, I'm going to bring up Storm King's Thunder again, because that was our most, like, I think, sandboxy campaign. You guys used persuasion to skip the entire first dungeon. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even just persuasion, it was also survival. Like, you guys did a bunch of skill checks and skipped the whole first dungeon. And that was because, again, our bard, Sean, he walks up to the front, he has a conversation with the guys guarding the goblin den. They say that they still need food, they're running low on food in the area. He goes out, kills a deer with survival, he hunts one down and kills it, brings it back, and then persuades them, since he brought them food, to, like, take us to your leader, basically. And then they just went straight to the boss room, skipping the entire dungeon, not having to kill any of the goblins except for the main guy. And that was it. Like, it was quick, easy, succinct, and it was, like, a very fulfilling moment, and where I don't even think about that as, like, oh, a wasted dungeon. I think of that as, oh, my players did something really cool here that not a lot of tables have experienced. And the same thing for the goblins. Like, he went in there and recruited those goblins using his full kit, using those skills creatively. And it's something I want to encourage in the future here, is finding ways to implement all of the skills in there, because I don't like whenever it comes up and we're like, oh, we'll just use one of these 3 skills, whichever one you have the highest modifier in, because I would rather be like, roll this one or justify me another reason you can use a different one.
No, I think it's a valid point. Something else I have seen with, because you mentioned the 3 options, right? So going between the 2, whichever one's better for you. Something I have used kind of sparingly is, in the sessions I run, I will say who is proficient in this, and I'll have them specifically roll that, cutting out the other players that didn't choose it, trying to, like, kind of single them out a little bit and say, well, you're an expert here, so this is where you get the time to shine, which I think is cool.
I like that.
But it doesn't really help, unfortunately, still with some of these underutilized skills. I could say, is anyone proficient with performance? But realistically, no one's gonna be, or maybe there's one, right? To which case, you could force it, right? You could say, hey, this is really gonna be a performance type of situation, but that takes away a lot of the, I don't know, the agency from the players.
Right.
I feel like, I almost feel like performance kind of stands out as one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way to either push it in a way that I don't understand or I don't know of, or to remove it from the skill set and work it almost into the bard class specifically for that. Or say it's a, what do you call it? Like an instrument check? Do we do instrument checks? Like a music check of some kind?
Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like it could be tied in, because there's a whole list. Don't forget, I mean, talking about skills, right? But there's a whole list of kits and tools that really nobody uses. We've used 2, 3 of them. Like, what, Carpenter? I think we used a cartographer kit at one point for mapping. That's about it. Maybe a poisoner's kit at some point.
Yeah, and
right?
those you go off of your skills. You have proficiency in those. So, like, Thieves' Tools is the one everybody does use. But
yeah, Thieves' Tools, of course. But realistically, what if we just took performance and made it a music kit, a music tool?
Or
instead?
Like, yeah,
That
you're
way
just
the
proficient in
bards
a
have
musical instrument like you are. I don't know, because I think performance is more than that, though. Remember, like, the impersonating someone, or, like, maybe even, like, posing as, instead of using persuasion to get your friends through, like, your friends that you've tied up through and into the brig, you could make them roll performance as opposed to persuasion to play a guard, And so normally, I think a lot of times what we default to is you walk up and you, like, say it and then roll deception to deceive them. But really what you're doing is you're playing a guard. So that's a good chance for performance to come in. And then if you do tell a lie, like, also having a deception work in there. I think performance is easily forgotten, though, and it's one that maybe we should bring up more in the game.
I just think they're so closely tied that, yes, there are situations where you can use performance.
Yeah.
But realistically, if I'm making a bard, I'm not a bard guy, but let's say I'm making a bard for campaign 3. If I had to pick, like, if I have the choice of going deception or performance, there's no world where I'm picking performance.
Right.
Because deception may actually come up several other times, but performance is so niche. Yeah, there are some uses, and just like sort of perception and investigation, you could sort of sub them out. But I think deception and persuasion are just so broadly covered, like the two, like perception and investigation. I almost don't see a need for the performance.
Right.
I like the idea of performance, but who's gonna pick it? Like realistically, if you're gonna pick it, if you're a bard, you want to play music. To which case, give people, I think, an option to have a music kit or a musical, I don't want to say check because that just puts it right back where it is, but you know what I mean. Using a kit or a tool in that sense, so they have that, they have it innately. So that way, the bard doesn't even have to pick it, right? They could pick persuasion, they could pick deception, pick whatever they want, but it's still packed into their class.
Why is there not a College of Laughter bard that's a stand-up comedian?
That's a great idea,
Right?
and they added a dancing one before that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There should be a College of Laughter, and it literally is a stand-up comedian. College of Humor,
That would be tough.
humor bard.
College of Humor is really funny, actually.
It's College Humor.
I feel like
the
that's
YouTube channel.
That's a solid one. Has anybody made that? Has anybody made? Like,
I don't know,
like
but
a
I
third
just came up
party?
with that on the
That's a great
spot with
idea.
my sick brain. So
You should definitely write that down. We're gonna have to make a book.
it's on the recording. It's gonna be there forever.
But so we're gonna call it Humor Bard, or what is it? School of Humor?
College of
School
Humor.
College of Humor. Patented. Put a little patent on it so that no one can steal it.
Yeah.
Because we're putting it out there. So now, if anybody comes out with a College of Humor Bard, we're gonna come after you and prosecute. Just to be very.
I think we do have someone playing a bard in this campaign. I could hit them up and be like, "Hey, what if I design you a College of Humor bard?"
Send it his way. Just see.
Good
and
idea,
that would be the
right?
perfect person too
Right?
to do it.
Right? Dude, this is a good idea. This is a great idea, actually.
This is a great idea.
And it's not even that, like, all I would have to do is steal some stuff from, like, another subclass or something, and then kind of flavor it in the way that, like, laughter and stuff is helpful. Give them, like, their bard class spells, like Tasha's Hideous Laughter. What is it? The Odaluke's Dance one?
Oh, that's a good one. I love
Irresistible
that spell.
Dance? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the spell that bards use that does a D4 of damage if they mock them?
Oh, Vicious Mockery.
Vicious Mockery. What if you leaned into Vicious Mockery? You know what
That's
warlocks do
good.
Eldritch Blast?
Yeah.
And they get all kinds of invocations. What if you leaned into that and gave them a whole bunch of other abilities and stuff they could do with it?
Yeah, like, you can add on, like, certain things. Like, they can make saves with your Vicious Mockery, or
You
maybe
could use it proactively to help a teammate.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
cool.
You could use it proactively to help a teammate, right? And then I don't know. I feel like it would have to do either like a debuff or like give options for that. Maybe give them like a Dissonant Whispers type deal too. These are all good
Yeah.
options. Or yeah,
We're
maybe
gonna have to come out with Table Talk Friday book.
maybe if they
We'll call
fail
it
their
something very
save,
cool.
they get like a Bane for their next thing, so they have to roll like a minus like a 1d4.
Ooh. Wait, don't they already do that? Isn't Vicious Mockery like a D4?
I think that's a d4 on like their next attack or something.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking Mind Sliver because Chase cast it
Ooh,
so
you're
many
right.
times.
I'm a little confused, but I'm gonna have to look into
We'll
it because
look into
I
it.
really like this idea.
I'm kind of excited. If you start building this, let me know. Because I'll toss you some ideas. We can.
Well, you know
we
what?
can
Maybe
flavor
we'll
it
do a
out.
whole episode on it because I'm gonna send him a message right now and ask if he wants to do that.
Ooh. Oh, it'll be fun. Speaking of, just because we're talking about like different subclasses and whatnot. So in Theros, at the end, my character essentially ascended to godhood, and I chose not to play him anymore because I thought his story was kind of complete. And so I had to make a new character for the last couple sessions of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Sean about it, and we had made a custom subclass. It was very cool. It was like Autumn Warrior or something. I was essentially like a seasonal ranger fighter kind of a vibe. It was very cool. However, I'm mentioning this because we are now doing Arc 2 of Theros. Currently, It's going to be a 3-session thing. And Sean graciously, very graciously, offered to make several people custom subclasses. And I think just about everybody took him up on it. I think there's 3, if not 4, custom subclasses that he made
Yep.
within a week, within making the session and everything. I just want to give him mad props because I've never had somebody do that.
So
Literally, the gall to do that is crazy.
I did talk to him a little bit about it. He did use the old like use a little bit of AI for inspiration and then like whittle it down to what he wanted, which is like a really fast, creative way to do it. Because I actually love the subclass that it gave me. I'm almost 100% though the titles of like my abilities were by him, because one of the really cool ones that I have for my Paladin's Channel Divinity was called the Ebb in the Flow.
Mm,
Right? It's cool, and
pretty cool.
I was like, ooh, that's kind of nice. I like that. So outside of that, though, I think mechanically he ended up coming up with some really cool stuff, and I am a fan of it. And now it does make me want to try a little bit more in terms of some homebrew stuff. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're creative enough. We've been in the game for a long time. We kind of know what's going to be balanced and what's not. And if someone's going to break the game, they're going to do it with the default stuff anyways. We may as well try out some new stuff, because we've had plenty of times where we've broken the game, and that's just with player's handbook by itself, not even just with having all the other stuff added in. So we kind of go balls to the wall now. Sean did share something with me last week before the campaign, before the session, where he was like, "Yeah, I actually don't like having background feeds." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just feel like we don't really need it when making higher level characters." And I was like, "That's fair." I said, "The reason I like it at level 1 is because you guys can start leaning into your subclass early."
Agreed.
So like,
completely agree.
I think someone's gonna have like the telekinetic feat and then go like maybe like a psionic type deal with the fighter. So because of that, I was like, oh, that's the reason I like it, is because you can get that flavor early on and not just be like, well, I'm just a random knight, and then all of a sudden one day and a couple days from now, after I fight a few things, I'm gonna have telekinetic powers. It gives us that freedom at the beginning of the game to start as a character, but still start at level 1, as opposed to the alternative, which is waiting till level 3 to get those abilities.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. And then level 4 if you wanted a feat. I like background feats, period. I mean, I guess I could see saying no if I wanted you guys to be a little bit weaker and not too strong for like a lower level sort of encounter type of thing. But I just don't think it would be that big of a deal. I like it for exactly that reason. I really like it for the flavor, though. The flavor of having that character. There's so many times where I have, because as a thematic builder, right, not a min-max, right, I like building themes, like Pyth, he was very time and space kind of stuff, right? Lucky feet, portents, all that kind of thing. Sometimes I have a cool idea for a theme, but it doesn't tie together till like level 8.
Right.
It's like, because I gotta wait on this feat. But if you could start with it, your character is unique right from the get-go. Not to say you can't play them uniquely, of course, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of help to make them a little more interesting, so you're not just going off personality alone. I want him to be cool. I want to have something a little different. I want him to, I don't want to just say he's a cook. I want to have the chef feat and be able to hand out some food to everybody.
And you don't even have to choose like the most optimal thing at level 1. You just choose whatever works for you flavor-wise.
Yeah, my dude's really athletic, so he's got the tough feet, so he's got a little bit extra health. Or, he's a wrestler, so I'm gonna go with the grappler feat, right? So he's really good at that. It just lets you lean into the build that you're trying to make, not necessarily min-maxing, but it gives you some flavor. So that's why I like background feats, but I can't imagine saying no in most situations to one. I see exactly where he's coming from on a higher level. If you're building a character for a one-off and he's level 12, okay, well you have 3 opportunities to take feats. So, make it work.
And like you saw whenever I was trying to build mine, and I was like, okay, well, do I just use this extra feat before I found out we didn't have one? Or do I just use this extra feat to add 2 stat points? Or do I use it for this feat that I may or may not use? And I decided inevitably to keep the stat points and take away the Great Weapon Master feat.
Okay.
And so those are the kinds of things I was looking at in the time where I was like, well, I'm not going to be rolling with advantage that often. I don't really have anything that's going to help me with that. So I may as well just not have it at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because if I was rolling -5 for the +10, I'm gonna miss so often that it doesn't even matter.
I miss without the -5, so I completely get it. Not a great weapon master kind of guy, but okay, so that makes sense. Getting back to the skill checks a little bit and these underutilized skills, I do want to bring one up. I want to toss nature into the mix.
Yeah.
Nature has some good uses, and there are definitely some times, like persuasion, right, where it comes up and it's really handy. But there are some other things you can use in lieu, right? And as a DM, in situations where I expect my players to use nature, it's often very easy to convince me, and maybe that's just me, maybe I'm a pushover, right? But I feel like it's very easy to persuade me in a way that you don't need nature. Like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's sort of a situation you could do history. I could see that. Or, well, it's not. It is a magical creature, so there is some magic at play. So yeah, you could use Arcana.
Mm-hmm.
There are some other things that not necessarily like in your face, direct. Like these are definitely interchangeable, like performance and deception. But there are definitely some skills that you could use in place of it, and it doesn't get used a whole lot. Even like when I think nature, I often think like foraging, but foraging is done with survival, right? If you see an animal, if it's got any kind of magic, it's Arcana. If you're trying to talk to an animal, it's animal handling. So when does nature really come up? I just feel like it doesn't.
It's a great question because I completely forgot about it today. I was sitting here, I didn't have anything in front of me, and I was like, I must be missing one that I haven't brought up yet, and it was nature. Like I don't bring it up often, like because if like you said, if I'm gonna have someone navigate, I'm gonna have them roll for survival. Like if I'm having them check like a body or something, I'm not going to have them check nature. I'm going to have them check medicine. And so nature only comes up like once every night. You know, if they're with an animal handling. So you're right, where I'm like, I can't really think of a lot of instances where nature is going to be effective unless it is like weather patterns and stuff, right? Where it's like weather patterns are going to come up, maybe seasons, things that we need to prepare for, things like that. It can come up in those conversations. But that's nothing you can't just do a history check on of the region, even. Like, hey, well, what do I know about the region? Can I just roll history? What about, well, I'll just go ask a local. I mean, and these are all things that in a tabletop game like what we're playing, you should be able to do all those alternatives. Those are all good things you should be able to do. But you're right, where nature's the one I can almost see where there's never a scenario where you only have that as an option.
Yeah, it's really tough. Top of my head, maybe it's a very plant-based, campaign, which funny enough, we just did one, a very heavy plant-based campaign. You didn't need it.
Right.
But maybe like super obscure situation. Maybe you're in like a Indiana Jones style underground like Aztec temple, and there's like these vines that are growing, and you have to find out something about the vegetation. Like, okay, maybe that. But then even so, you might be able to do history if you knew anything about the civilization.
Oh, and these vines are growing weird. Is it Arcana?
Exactly. And the answer might be no, right? But I might give it a try because I'm a wizard. Why not?
Right.
The only time I can really, and I've gone through this before, the only time I could think where I would definitely take nature is if I'm running a druid and it feels dirty to run druid and not have
right
nature.
or ranger too.
It's like, well, how am I going to be this nature, like, warden of the north or whatever, the protector of the forest, Lorax type character, and I don't have proficiency in nature? How am I, like, I'm not even pulling my weight here.
You only have survival, so you don't know what anything is, but you know it's safe or good, or like bad or good. So you're like, oh, I can eat that berry. Well, what kind of berry is it? I have no idea. Eats it.
No idea, but it's blue and it's okay. It's good.
It's okay. I smelled it. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. That, I think nature and performance really stand out here as completely underutilized. I'm not even going to put animal handling in.
I think if you took them off the list,
I think it's a different level.
I think if you took them off the list, not that many people would care.
You're right, though. We really could just pull it off the list. Yeah. I wonder if there'd be a positive effect if we put that in the table. I'm thinking, let's say performance is no longer a thing. Let's say nature is no longer a thing. And anything that, or any class or background, right, that would give you a proficiency in one of those, you could pick something similar. You could pick something of your choice. Maybe the of your choice might be, I don't want to say too strong because that's silly.
I think the hard part is then everybody's perfect for every scenario, and that's what sucks. Is like you don't want your party to be too perfect.
Yeah, that's true. But if that's the case, then as a table of veterans, right, of people who have played all these campaigns and are pretty astute, like we're pretty creative getting through situations, right? We're always going to be that way. Like we're never going to run into that issue, Like we're always going to have those skills or the ability to go to another one. So maybe this is just for newer players. I don't know. Maybe just for newer players we're moving them.
I think. But then you're I don't want to say newer players because I also feel like having experience with the game, it is still fun to choose the options that aren't optimal. You know what I mean? It might not be optimal or come up most of the time, but like you said, if I'm going to play a druid, I'm probably going to have nature. if I'm going to play a bard, I'm probably going to have performance. And that's because it's in the character. It's not necessarily just like power or like when it's going to come up. But then I think maybe it's less of a DM responsibility. Maybe it's a player responsibility to put yourself in situations where that comes up. So like, hey, I really want to be able to use performance here, so I'm going to try to use performance. And it could be on us. Maybe these are just the ones that our table lacks. You know, another table might be like, oh no, we use performance all the time. We use nature all the time for this. And that's maybe us just not seeing completely outside of our own little bubble, because I could see scenarios where people are like, oh yeah, no, we have a bard on the team and we have for our last 5-year campaign. And yeah, he uses performance all the time for lots of things.
That's true. I almost lean the other way though. So you had mentioned a second ago that, you know, maybe it's on the player, right, to make sure. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, definitely empower your players to do whatever they want to do, right? If they want to lean into performance, by all means do it. But I wonder if, as a DM, you should almost, I don't want to say like play favorites, right? But maybe if one of the players made a build around nature, right, where they're really leaning into it, maybe you give them extra things that other people wouldn't. I'm not saying like magic items and stuff, but maybe in that check, well, because he used nature, that's an underutilized skill.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give you this little tidbit because you used it. Maybe you get a little bit, you know, maybe 2 players are doing the same type of investigation, right? But they're using different checks. They're using nature, and then they're going to use arcana, right? Maybe the nature guy just gets a little bit more, or he gets the information differently. Like maybe you word it differently, and it leads them more appropriately towards the right response or the right thing they're looking for. It feels almost like you're playing favorites, so it sounds dirty to say, but I feel like there could be room for leaning into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Now, before we get to the end of this here episode of Table Talk Friday, I did find something while we were having a conversation here.
Oh?
And it is someone's homebrew College of Humor.
Really?
Yes, and it's on D&D Beyond. Now, 3rd level, dude, you were right on the money.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You learn the power of laughter. You learn the Vicious Mockery cantrip, which is, you know, if you already know Vicious Mockery, you can pick any other bard cantrip. The damage dice of Vicious Mockery becomes equal to your bardic inspiration die. Great, I like that. And then finally, when an enemy is attacked, you may use your reaction to roll a bardic inspiration die, reducing the target's AC by the rolled amount. So,
ooh.
And
that's pretty good.
Now, you have to use your bardic inspiration for that. So I like that because, one, it gives you a use other than just inspiring someone. It can be like, oh, we're fighting a dragon with a 19 AC at level 4 or 5. And so now we can get that AC down a couple of times for our big hitter like our paladin. I like that. I like that a lot.
That's pretty good. I think there may be 1 or 2 abilities that have to do with increasing your AC. I think like Bladesinger Wizard, and I think there's one other one. Maybe a War Mage might happen, but you don't see a lot of reducing AC out there.
Mm-hmm. So this would kind of like catch them off guard, reduce their AC a little bit, like make it so like they falter. I like that. Now this one I'm a little bit weird about. I would probably change around the 6th level ability. They call it Pratfall because it's kind of like a jester type deal. So you become immune to being knocked prone, meaning like someone goes to like throw you prone and you can always like tumble out of it, basically. So
okay. So that's pretty niche, but I think it's fun.
But it also has when falling, if you're within 5 feet of a wall, you may use your reaction and roll a bardic inspiration die. Reduce the damage you take by the amount rolled X times 5. So like kind of like a slow fall. You can do slow fall, but only if you're like near a wall. So you acrobatic and like roll out of it again. So you kind of like do a parkour roll, which I don't
like that. I don't like that at all.
I'm a little weird about that one. I don't really mind the knock prone immunity. I kind of think that's fun. Like, even if you are playing like a stand-up comedian, just like even hecklers can't get to you. Like they come up on stage and somehow you're still going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is pretty fun.
So I don't hate that part, but yeah, I would definitely change it around a little bit. I don't know what I would do for that yet, though.
Definitely not the slow fall thing. I'm going to go as far as I hate that. I really don't like it at all.
Yeah, so that one would definitely be a change. I agree with you. And then 14th level, the capstone ability is Killing a Joke. When
Oh.
casting a spell of the enchantment or illusion schools, increase the spell save DC by 2. So that's nice. So it just gives you a +2 to your DC on your spells. And then you may use your action to force an enemy within 30 feet to make a charisma saving throw. And that includes your +2 there. So DC 8 plus proficiency plus charisma +2. On a failed save, the target immediately drops to 0 on a successful save, the target instead falls prone. Their speed drops to 0. And they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. This effect lasts up to 1 minute. The target must share one language of the bard and have an intelligence above 4, or they are immune to this effect. This recharges on a long rest. So it's like a final blow, basically. Like if they fail this killing joke and they try it the one time, it's like a power word kill almost. I think I would put a threshold on it of like they have to be at a certain hit point limit, maybe like 50 or 75 or something.
Well, it doesn't say that it kills them, right? Did it say
No?
it drops to
Okay,
0
you're
hit
right.
points?
It does just not. It just puts them to 0 and they fall prone. So they're
So
stable.
Zero speed, right? Not 0 health.
Let's see.
I just want to make sure. 0 speed, and then
Within
they
30
were
feet.
prone.
No, they're on a failed save. The target immediately drops to 0. So I'm thinking 0 hit points.
I was thinking 0 speed. I think, but I see a killing joke. I guess that makes sense. That's the theme of it. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think it's a cool capstone.
I don't
Definitely need to put a
know.
limit on it.
I think it needs a limit and or maybe a little bit of reworking.
Well, what level do you get? You said was it
That's
17?
14.
Oh, 14. Oh no, it's definitely got to have a limit. I was gonna say if it's 17, maybe it's just they get a free use.
Especially the amount of manipulation you get that far in. I'm like, well, I don't know if I would want my players to fight every boss and be like beefing up to do a killing joke.
Yeah, I think they lost the momentum. I'm super into the bard, but
The
I
vicious
would rework
mockery
it.
was good.
The vicious mockery, I love, and I think they need to lean into that they use it different ways. Kind of like I guess it's not the same, but Swarmkeeper Ranger, where they have their bees and they can kind of utilize it. To me, it should be almost like that. Like maybe vicious mockery an action to do? I think it is. Maybe it becomes a bonus action, right? It scales with the bardic inspiration die damage. I think that's really cool. And as you go through, you can use bardic inspiration to do things with it, like lowering their AC, like giving them disadvantage on a save,
Yeah.
like boosting up an ally. I feel like there's a lot of room to do stuff with that and to constantly crack jokes, because that's what I'm thinking the bard is. It's all about making jokes, all about
Yeah.
making people laugh. So why not lean into that instead of this weird slow fall thing and like getting pushed around? And the +2 save DC is cool, but I don't see how it really fits thematically with it. Unless
Yeah.
it's just like a thick skin, like heckler kind of a vibe, I guess, but they didn't mention that. Like that wasn't really part of the pun. So
Yeah.
but it's a great start.
Yeah, it is a good start. So I am excited to look into it a little bit more and see if there's something we can do with it, because I like the idea of having someone with a custom subclass. You've got Tome of Heroes going on. If I can make a College of Humor, which was, something I popped out of my head here on the show, I think it could be cool to. I like the Vicious Mockery one. That one, I think that's one I'll steal. Like, just be like, hey, you have this ability.
Oh, definitely, straight up.
Vicious Mockery,
Straight up.
just steal it there. And then as far as the other one goes, I don't know. The other one's gonna be like a lot of thinking to come up with something good there.
We can work it. I think if we sat down for an hour and workshop this, we could come up with something really good.
I think maybe we should do that for an episode before campaign 3. Just like, hey, let's make the College of Humor bard.
I'm in. I'm into that 100%.
All right.
Let's do it.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to Table Talk Friday. Remember that you can get our exclusive Patreon post show at patreon.com/Table Talk Friday, where you can join Good Old Gamer. And I believe we have a new member named Rochelle who joined us this past week. So welcome, Rochelle.
Woo!
Outside of that, thank you guys so much for listening to the show today, where we discussed the underutilized skills in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. But the show's not over. We're going to go do the post show. So with that, I need the humorous bard to take me out.
Well, hey guys, it's me, the humorous bard. I actually have 4 arms because I have so many humorous bones. Is the problem? So, and it's kind of weird. I've just been sitting here this whole time waiting for the podcast, and I'm glad it was great, but now I can't leave. So Hope you had a great time.